Hello, this is Mohammed from Akçaba Limited. In this video, I will show you how to make use of the Xorcom API. I am using here the virtual machine of the latest Xorcom at the date of this video. First of all, you need to go to the Xorcom web panel, and of course you will create your own the username and the password. Once that is done, you have to go to the admin section over here and click on application access. Make sure in the whitelist section you have your subnet allowed or any specific IP that will be using your API. Here's the document that is provided by Xorcom itself. So you have a bunch of requests here. You have a authentication process. You have also the setup phase of the like setting up the API itself, where you have to make the application key. Of course, the document provides everything in curl commands, but we're gonna make everything simpler. In order to start the registration process, you have to access your Xorcom device. In this video, I'll do it through PuTTY, accessing it through SSH. So I will enter my machine's IP. I am using the default username and password. And now I have access to the system. The first thing you want to do here is you have to put the Python script, and for example here I pasted it as under the API setup folder, and you can use any text editor to put it. It's a simple Python script that will do the app key registration for you. All you have to do is run it with Python. Make sure that Python exists on the Xorcom system. By just running the Python command, it will show you the version of Python. The script was made for Python 2.7, so that's the one you need to make this work. Now you just have to run it by entering Python and setup.py or whatever the file name is. Enter your application key. So whatever name you enter here, it will be the same name registered in this list. So you already have one by default. I named one all. Let's name one called, I don't know, admin API. And now you have to enter the application key, which will be the key you use for all other requests. I'm gonna make a simple key, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, but for you have to decide a much more secure key for your application to use. Just hit enter and press Y to confirm everything. And here it says application with that key already exists. So in here I'm using the same like 1, 2, 3, 4 for the all name. So let's try a different one. If I say admin API, I will use, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Press Y, and it says success. So if it says success, everything is ready. You have to remember the key that you entered, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over here you can check and confirm by clicking here, and you have admin API ready. The first thing you want to do here is add your admin user or whatever user you want to use for the API. So if I give admin here, it means that this API will have the admin user available, and if I log in through the admin user, it will have all the admin privileges. And I will click update. Now it's ready. Now in this instance, I will be using Postman to show how the requests will work. So I have a collection here that has two variables. Obviously I need to connect to my Xorcom by using the IP of the machine and slash API is the path of the HTTP request. So everything in the API starts with the path slash API. The token here will be generated on each session, and this token can expire, so you need to generate it every now and then. So in order to generate, you have to understand that you have to create a bunch of requests here to test things out. But the main thing that you want to run first here is the authenticate request. So it goes under HTTP and the IP of the machine slash API slash authenticate. In here, you have to kind of make a body with a URL encoding type of body. You will need 3 keys: the username, the password, and the key. Now I'm using the old API key, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4 I showed previously, but since we created another one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can use that here. And I'm logging in with the admin user that I just added over here. So let me just make sure it's updated. Okay. So back into Postman, when I run this script, I will get back a token. Now this is the token that you will use alongside every other request. And as you notice here, all other requests are post requests. And as well as that, all other requests will use body type of URL encoding. So you will always use this way. Now, if I put the token, if I put this token over to some variable in Postman, I'm doing that with the tests code. I added some extra code here so that whenever I run this endpoint, it's gonna put that token into the variable of the Xorcom collection, so that whenever I go to another, let's say, get all users request, I just have to recall token and it will extract it directly from the collection, which is set up by the authenticate request. Now let's run an example here where we just okay, I will run this request, which is getting all users. The same thing, as I said, the body is URL encoded and I have the token here ready. It doesn't take any other variable, so we'll just run it, and I'm getting all extensions or users, whatever they are. The users are different than the extensions, so here we can see user 1, user 2. User 2 happens to be an extension as well. Users can be extensions. But let's see how we can do this in another programming language. And Postman has a funny little feature here that if you click over code, you can select what type of programming language you want to implement this in. Let's say I want to do it in Node.js Axios library. I can click that and it will generate the code for me. But you have to be aware that the token is generated by another script, and maybe you'll store this in a variable, if you're using React, you'll store it in a state, whatever it is. You have to store this token at every time that you run the authenticate API request. So let me do it again and show you which one. So this is the token that you have to store and run in all other requests. Now let's see how we can create another request that is not here. I will delete this request and show you how to do one from the beginning. I will do the create extension request. So let me delete this. So now we will add a request here under extensions. Make sure that it's a post request, as I mentioned earlier, and we will do endpoint, which is again the API path. Every endpoint starts with this path, and then slash create extension. So now we have to select what type of body we are sending, which is the URL encoded body. And the first thing we have to make sure that exists in the request is the token. So this exists in all bodies, and I will take it from the token that will be generated through this request, right? I will name this request create extension. Now, over here in the API documentation, we can have a look at what is required for us to make this request. I will go look for, let's see. It's supposed to be create extension. So that's the request. It says here that it takes name, extension, a unique number of the extension, and the class of service ID. Now, if you don't know the class of service ID, you kind of have to create another request to get the class of services. And I made one here, and I just got the ID of all permission service, which is 1. So by default, all Xorcom devices will have the first class of service ID as 1. And you can make use of that just for testing purposes. We will put that here. So we have to follow the names of these given by the documentation. And I will go over here. I'll put this one as 1. There are 2 other variables in this case, the name and the extension. So let's do these ones as well. So name and then extension. Let's say I want to name that. Okay, first of all, let's see what extensions we have, so we don't create duplicates. So we have a demo extension. Let's actually try to make a demo extension. Let's see what it will tell us. So if I write demo and I write 2000, which is the same thing, it will say, oops, it must be unique. But if I create another one with my name, let's say Mohammed, and then I say extension 100. If I run this script, it says success, and my extension ID is 3. So I already tried one before, and it's created with the extension ID 2, but I deleted that one. Now we have a 3, but obviously we only have 2. So now Mohammed is here. It's all ready to use. Of course, the technology is basic, so you need to do other requests to set up the technology, to set up other stuff. You have to look through the API here, but you have to make sure that the parameters that are given here are the ones you use in the URL encoding body. Yeah, and that's again we can see the code here. We can decide, okay, do I want to use a C# client? Let's see what the code for that one is. Let's see if the curl one is the same. Well, it's more complicated, but it does the same job. So that's all. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck.